Andithabathe elithuba ndizibulisele kuni baphulaphuli. Namhlanje kungolosibini. It is Tuesday today on this Passion Week. We are in that 57 days of the crucial part in the life of Jesus, as we have promised. We thank those who found the time yesterday to be part of us and join us. We would like to make this point. Every year there is a kind of monotonous, continuous, same thing every year. And this year I feel that we need to take another approach, because there is so much that we are missing in this narrative of Jesus' crucifixion and the whole week of actually what happened. There are people or major players, like for instance the priest, the Roman soldiers, Pilato himself were all there, Judas Iscariot, the list is long, Barnabas. There are people who are main role players in this narrative, that if we can have an insight in their participation and their involvement, something would happen to us as we reflect in our own lives. Therefore, this week, that's one of the parts that I would like to concentrate on. I hope iBhayibhile yakho you've got. Into yobhala unayo. And there will be some verses that we have to look into. Shall we pray? Bawo siyaphinda siyakhothama phambi kwetroni yakho yobabalo, siyakucela, siyakucenga, siyakubongoza ukube wakhona ube kunye nathi, hayi kuba ubungekho kodwa ubekho ngokukhethekileyo, khona ukuze ubukho bakho buncedisane nathi. Ngaye umoya uyingcwele asityhilele ingqondo, asibonise ubunzulu nobuze bethu, ukanti nothando nobuhle bakho. Ukusikucela egameni lenkosi yethu Yesu Kristu. Amen. Pilato enye yabantu abanobutyala, he's guilty, njengoko every Sunday, to those who go to churches where we do the Apostolic Creed, siyacula ngaye uYesu abethile emnqamlezweni phantsi koPontius Pilato, ngoba Jesus was crucified under Pontius Pilate. So this is a major player. This man, Pilato, is known to have been appointed procurator, a Roman governor, a premier of the border province of Judea, appointed by the emperor Tiberius. He must have served iminyaka elishumi, served for 10 years, from about AD 26 to 36. Uphethe lo minyaka ingako. He acquired a reputation as an able administrator. Wawupremier owaziwayo kwezolawulo, with a typical Roman sense of fair play. Wayeyazi imithetho yamaRoma yokulawula. But he was hated by the Jews, bayengathandwa ngamaJuda, because he was contemptuous of them. They did not forget his provocative act. Azange bazilibala izinto ezabavusa umnyele at the beginning of his period of office, of exhibiting the Roman standards in Jerusalem itself, inyanzela impilo nendlela yokuphila yamaRoma kubo. Josephus he's a Jewish historian, described another of his follies, namely that he misappropriated some temple money to build an aqueduct. Kukwimali awayithabathayo eyayimelba imali yetempile wayokwakha into engenanto kwenza netempile. Upremier uPontius Pilato ukuso sitsholo ziphezu kwakhe amaJuda angazange amthande ngenxa yaso. Many think that it was in the ensuing riot that he has mixed the blood of certain Galileans with the sacrifices. Ake wafika ngemidikem amaJuda ezakwenza umnikelo, wawabulala ku chapter 13 verse 1 incwadi kaLuka. Kuthiwa igazi labo bantu laphithikezwa negazi lomnikelo. These are only samples of his hot temper, violence and cruelty. Zinto nje zimbalwa ezo ezibonakalisa ukukhohlakala kwakhe nokuba nomsindo osempumlweni. According to Philo, King Agrippa I described him in a letter to the Empire Calcola as a man of very inflexible disposition and a very merciless as well as a very obstinate. Yamchaza, amthandi impela. His overriding aim was to maintain law and order. Eyona njongo yakhe wayefuna kubekho ucwangco nolungelelwano. To keep those troublesome Jews firmly under control. Lo maJuda ayefuna ngathi ayavukela, wayengawaqheliseli. And if it's necessary for these ends to be ruthless in suppression of any riot or threat of one. Izinto ezinokwenza nje novukelo hayi wayengaziqheliseli. The portrait of Pontius Pilate in the Gospel tells well with this history. xa ufunda ivangeli ufumanisa into yokuba ingxelo lapha kwivangeli yavumelana nale ngxelo iphuma kwincwadi zembali. When the Jewish leaders brought Jesus to him with the words, "We have found this man subverting our nation," and added that he opposed the payment of taxes to Caesar and claims to be Christ, a king. Beyifumana loo nto phaa kwincwadi kaLuka, chapter 23, verse 2. Bazisa isityholo sokuthi le ndoda nqanda abantu into yoba angayibhatali itax. Utsho phaa ithi, then the whole assembly rose and led him off to Pilate, and he began to accuse him, saying, "We have found this man subverting our nation. He opposes payment of taxes to Caesar and claims to be Christ, a king." Bamthola ngaloo nto bayazazi uba bayaxoka. Akho ndawo uYesu wake wathi makungabhatalwa tax khona. uYesu sangathethe loo nto uYesu. As a result of that, uPilato could not fail to take notice as his investigation proceeded. The evangelist emphasized two important points. Abavangeli emveni kwale ngxelo banezinto abazithethayo kuba uPilato made it a point that this is thoroughly followed in terms of investigation. The first point, uPilato was convinced of Jesus' innocence. uPilato wayeqinisekile ngokungabi natyala kukaYesu. He was obviously impressed by the prisoner noble bearing, self-control, and political harmlessness. Ayebona ukuba uYesu akanabungozi nabutshaba, indoda enesidima ekwaziyo ukuzilawula. So 3 times, izihlandlo ezithathu, he declared publicly that he could find no ground for charging him. Yathi akaboni into enombanga ambeke butyala. The first was soon after the daybreak on the Friday morning, when the Sanhedrin referred the case to him. Asekuseni amzisa apha kuPilato amadoda aSanhedrin esasigqeba la madoda ayi-70. uPilato listened to them, asked Jesus few questions, and after this preliminary hearing announced, "I find no basis for a charge against this man." Uyifumana loo nto phaya kuLuka 23 verse 4. Ithi la vesi, then Pilate announced to the chief priest and the crowd, "I find no basis for a charge against this man." Ayiphelelanga ke apho, ubuyela apha kuJohane 19, apha kuJohane 19 verse 4 to 5. Uyamva pha wakhona uPilato. Once more, Pilate came out and said to the Jews, "Look, I find..." Once more, Pilate came out and said to the Jews, "Look, I am bringing him out to you to let you know that I found no basis for a charge against him." When Jesus came out wearing the crown of thorns and the purple robe, Pilate said to them, "Here is the man. He's innocent. There is no basis for a charge. Now, the second occasion was when Jesus came back from being examined by Herod. Phindile kwakhona uYesu sebuya kweHerode. Pilate said to the priests and people, "You brought this man as one who was inciting the people to rebellion. I've examined him in your presence, and I found no basis for your charges against him. Neither has Herod, for he sent him back to us. As you can see, he has done nothing to deserve death." Akukho nto ayenzileyo enobangela into yokuba makabulawe. Itsho laa ndoda. Umfumana phaa kuLuka 23 verse 22. Uyifumane phaa kuJohane kwakhona. Ufumana kuLuka chapter 22, uyifumana kuJohane chapter 19 verse 6. Uyayiva phaa, masikhawuleze msinyane. Asukwazi uzifunda zonke, kodwa masifunde la 23:22. Uthi la 23:22, "For the third time he spoke to them, Why? What crime has this man committed? I found in him no grounds for the death penalty. Therefore, I will have him punished and then release him." At this the crowd shouted, "Crucify him." But Pilate responded for the third time, "Why? What crime has this man committed? I found no grounds for the death penalty." Moreover, the procurator's personal conviction about the innocence of Jesus was confirmed by the message his wife sent him. Esebhizi exakene nalento aba bantu bengafuna umamela, kwakonfenywa ngumfazi wakhe othumele incwadi oyifumana kuMateyu chapter 27 uverse 19, emnqanda lamfazi into bakhangelala ubusuku bonke, nceda ungabi nanto kwenza nalo sisigqibo sokubulala loo ndoda, ngoba loo ndoda i-innocent. Ufumana confirmation from umfazi wakhe. That's Matthew chapter 27 verse 19. Pilate's repeated insistence on the innocence of Jesus is the essential background to the second point about him, which the evangelist emphasizes. Abavangeli bayayigxininisa lento yokuba uPilato akazange amfumane elityala uYesu, namely his ingenious attempt to avoid having to come down clearly on one side or the other. Kodwa kwafumaniseka into yokuba esengxakini enkulu, nangona wayemfumanisa engenatyala, baze ababona kwambeka ityala estrong besithi lona unetyala between ezi zigqibo zibini. I want you to listen to this now. He wanted to avoid sentencing Jesus, since he believed he was innocent. Wayengafuni kumgweba uYesu ngoba wayeqinisekile enyanisekile ukuba uYesu akanatyala. At the same time, avoid exonerating him, since the Jewish leaders believed he was guilty. Esoyika ukumkhulula ngenxa into yokuba abakhokheli, the leadership of the Jews, believed that he was guilty. How could he contrive to reconcile these irreconcilables? Uzakwenza kanjani ukuhlanganisa ezincamango zimbini zahlukeneyo? I want you to listen to this. We watch him wrangling as he attempts to release Jesus and pacify the Jews. He's looking at releasing Jesus, which is the right thing to do because he's innocent, legally, morally, ethically. And yet, on the other side, he is looking to pacify the Jews. How can he do that? To be just and unjust simultaneously. He tried evasions. Ezama ukuphepha. First, and I want you to listen to this. On hearing that Jesus was a Galilean, sakhulile le case le phakathi nendawo abambe nje nendawo ba engumGalili lo, and therefore under Herod's jurisdiction umele into yokuba lo muntu abe ujongene noHerode. He sent him to Herod for trial, hoping to transfer his responsibility of decision. Wakomba uzamthumela kuHerode ukwenzela bayena akhululeke kule nkinge. But Herod sent Jesus back unsentenced. Uyifumana loo nto kuLuka chapter 23, verse 5 to 12. La responsibility ebeyithumele kuHerode, uHerode wamxoxisa wathi no, le nto ingapha kwam, ongaphezulu kunam nguPilato, wamthumela kuPilato. La responsibility uPilato ebeyibaleka. Now listen to this. That's the first attempt. Second attempt, he tried half measures. I will have him punished, scourged, and then released him. Up 23, verse 16, 22, bathi jonga manje into endizoyenza, ndizambetha, ndimbethe ndimtyakaje ukuxolisa amaJuda angaphumi njena kodwa ndimkhulule, at least ikhona into endiyenzileyo. He hoped the crowd might be satisfied by something less than the supreme penalty, and their blood lust, sated by the sight of his lacerated back. It was despicable, for if Jesus was innocent, he should have been immediately released, not flogged first. Ukuba uYesu akanakutyala, kwakumele into yokuba akukhange abe uxhatshaziwe, unomqolo ongathi yintsimi elinyiweyo, ufakwe isithaba sameva, utyakatyiwe, ukuba ngaba u-innocent. Thirdly, he tried to do the right thing, release Jesus. Wazamela into yokuba amkhulule uYesu for the wrong reason. Not because of innocence. Deep down in his heart, and he has also communicated that I find no fault with him. He said, there is no case. He is politically harmless. But wafailisha. Now, he wanted still to release Jesus, but for the wrong reason. into ayenzayo, I want you to listen to this. Remembering the procurator's establishment custom to grant a Passover amnesty to some prisoner, he hoped the people would select Jesus for his favor. Njengokuba ngexesha lePasika uprocurator unelungelo lokunika ingqaluse, amnesty, kumabanjwa athile. So he felt that what he would do, he will take the worst prisoner, the worst, a criminal to the core, and take him and bring him forward. Lomdu, he has done so much to traumatize, to pressurize, to rape, to kill the people. It was a great relief for this man to be arrested and be behind bars. And the sentence was clear that he was going to be crucified. And then he takes that man. He takes Jesus. He says, I want you to help me. It is that time of the year, especially during the Passover, that I can use my discretion for amnesty. Choose one between the two, and that I will release. It was obvious in his mind that anybody in his right mind, nobody would choose Barnabas. Then through that, he will be able to release Jesus, but for a wrong reason. Not on the basis of his conviction that Jesus is innocent, but on the basis of the amnesty. The worst prisoner has to be crucified. He tried that trick. Guess what? He thought that people would select Jesus for this favor. Then he could release him as an act of clemency instead of an act of justice. Angamkhululi ngenxa yokulungisa, amkhulule ngengqawuse. It was an astute idea. That was very brilliant, very clever, but inherently shameful. And the people thwarted it by demanding instead that the procurator's pardon be granted to a notorious criminal and murderer, Barabbas. Zate zando, sinike uBarabas. Betere sihlale noBarabas. Betere kuthiwa wothuka wabuza ba ndimthini umuntu ekuthiwa nguYesu. That's Luke chapter 23, verse 16. 16 and verse 22. Dimthini umuntu ekuthiwa nguYesu. Sathe zanto akafika bethelelwe yena qha. We are prepared to risk our lives and live with Barnabas than for you to release this man. Have you ever tried to do the right thing for the wrong reason? Fourthly, he tried to protect his innocence. Wazamela ke ngoku into yokuba akhusele ukungabi natyala kwakhe. What did he do? Wathatha amanzi to water and wash his hands. Wahlamba izandla zakhe before the crowd, saying, wathi, I am innocent of this man's blood. Ndinatyala legazi lale ndoda. Matthew 27:24. And then before his hands were dry, he handed Jesus to be crucified. How could he bring himself to incur this great guilt immediately after proclaiming his innocence? Yenzeke njani laa nto uba awugqiba ukuhlamba izandla athi akanatyala, zithi izandla zakhe semanzi zinjalo, amkhulule uyesu amnikezele into uyesu makabethelele engqamlezweni. Now allow me to preach to you, because that's the story that somehow over the period of Easters we fail to pay attention to. It is easy to condemn uPilato and overlook our own equal devious behavior. Kulula ukujonga uPilato ubone uba ngumntu oyevela phi lumbi ohlobo, singabi nawo amehlo ukubona this dubiousness esinayo ebomini bethu. Anxious to avoid the pain of a whole-hearted commitment to Christ, we too search for convenient subterfuges. Ngamanye amagama bakwamaxesha sifeyisane nenyani, kodwa ukufeyisana nalo nyani will cause a measure of pain, rejection. Sometimes you may lose your job. Sometimes you may lose your life. Your life can be at stake, and you find yourself opting for not living up to the truth that you know. Now, I want you to listen to this. We either leave the decision to somebody else or opt for a half-hearted compromise, or seek to honor somebody else for the wrong reason. Listen to this. I want you to listen to this very carefully. Apa kuluka xa ujonga elibali lika Pilato, uPilato wayesithabathile isigqibo sokuba to grant their demand, and he surrendered Jesus to their will. Uyifumana pha ku-23 verse 23 to 25. incwadi kaLuka masijonge lanto leya 23 to 25 uyiva lanto xa apha esithi, but with loud shouts they instantly demanded that he be crucified, and their shout prevailed. So Pilate decided to grant their demand. He released the man who had been thrown into prison for insurrection, that's Barnabas, and murder, the one they asked for, and surrendered Jesus to their will. Wanikezela. Now listen to this. Their shouts, their demand, their will to this Pilate weakly capitulated. He was wanting to release Jesus, that's 23 verse 20, but he was also wanting to satisfy the crowd, Mark chapter 15 verse 15. The crowd won. Why? Because they said to him, if you let this man go, you are no friend of Caesar. Anyone who claims to be a king opposes Caesar. That's John chapter 19 verse 12. This clinched it. The choice was between honor and ambition, between principle and expediency. He had already been in trouble with Tiberius Caesar on 2 or 3 previous occasions. He could not afford another one. Sure, Jesus was innocent. Sure, justice demanded his release. But how could he champion innocence and justice if thereby he denied the will of the people, flouted the nation's leaders, and above all, provoked an uprising, thereby forfeiting the imperial favor? His conscience was drowned by the loud voice of rationalization. He compromised because he was a coward. Now. I'm sure you must be asking me, so? At this point in time in the history of our country, ngeli xesha kwimbali yeli lizwe, sibona kumabonakude, sibona intlanganiso ezinkulu zombutho ophakamileyo, apho kudibana amadoda amakhulu kuxoxwa ngemicimbi anento kwenza. When you look at that, there is a noise. There is ndifuna ubuyela kwinto ebendiyifundile mhlawumbi ongakhange uyiqonde. He was wanting to release Jesus, but he was also wanting to satisfy the crowd. Lanto yofuna ukwenza into right, but lento right ayisayi kwenelisa izihlwele. Ufuna ke ngoku uwine macala wenza into right nezihlwele zikuthande. Ukuba ngaba wenza into right, funeka uyazi ba uziluzile izihlwele. but uba ke waziwina izihlwele uyazi into yokuba woyisiwe kukwenza into elungileyo. And in this instance, the crowd won. Why? Because they said to him, if you let this man go, if you let this man go, even currently in our socio-political context, we have a man, or we have a policy that is goaded that if people are found to be accused of certain criminal acts, they must be released. And there are certain people that say, should you release this man? And the other people, they say, releasing this man is the right thing. And the poor people that are in leadership, they want to do the right thing. And at the same time, they don't want to lose the crowds. Now listen to this. There is a choice between honor and ambition, between principle and expediency. Listen to this. The truth was drowned in the noise of the crowd. Kukho into edla ngokwenziwa abantu abathile izihlalo ziphezulu. Xa ufumanisa into abahlali banamatyala, kufuneka baye ezinkundleni zamatyala. Uba ngaba mhlawumbi uzoyonga ngomso, uba kwibhasi esuka kwindawo ngendawo ziyolala kulaa ndawo, qeshwe loo holo okanye loo cawa, usuku wonke kuyaculwa apho, vuka kusasa kuvalwe indlela, culwe, kwenziwa amabhijo, kuthweni, kudrownwe. Imoto kungabikho ndlela imoto baba zihambe. I'm bringing you kule nto kaPilato. Into endivusisa kuyo yile nto kaPilato. Ukuthi uPilato decided to grant their demand and surrender Jesus to their will. And I want you to listen to this. Their shouts, their demand, their will. To these, Pilate weakly capitulated. He collapsed under that. He was wanting to release Jesus. That's Luke chapter 23, verse 20. But he was also wanting to satisfy the crowd. That's Mark chapter 15, verse 15. Have you ever wanted to do the right thing? And at the same time, wanted to win the crowds? And you find yourself in this dilemma. You wanted to do the right thing, and you know what is right. And what is right is known also by the crowds. But the crowd, they want you to do what they want you to do. And the question that you should be asking yourself, will their shouts, will their demand, with their will weaken you and dismantle you. Now listen to this. I want to repeat this. Sure, Jesus was innocent. 2, sure, justice demanded his release. But how could he, Pilato, champion innocence and justice if thereby he denied the will of the people? That's what the dilemma is. Because when it comes into when it comes we understanding yabantu of democracy, because ethically, morally, legally, and also, let's say, and principles, policies of this particular organization, they say this is just and this is innocent, and yet the crowds, the majority, the majority are demanding something that is contrary to that. And the question is, what do you do when you are a leader and find yourself in that dilemma? That is why I am saying you must be quick here by kind of condemning Pilato. And every Sunday, asitidele sicula isivumo sokholo owabethelelwayo phansi uPontius Pilato. Kufuneka la nto leya ungayiculi with a sense of you are so angry, you are so convicted, you just cannot understand uPilato. Don't. You must sing it, and you must allow it to sink. And you must put yourself in the same position and ask yourself some introspection questions and ask yourself, have you ever faced, when you haven't even faced a nation for that matter, not a nation, and then nation, no, not a nation, but there are times that you know what is right. Your conscience, you are clear about that. But you know what other people want. And you do want to do justice. Justice. You want to be innocent. You want to be pure. But you value the crowds. You don't want to lose the crowds. What do we do? This is the question about this. So, as we are faced with this week, it's important that we take certain individuals in this narrative and begin to analyze them and look at their predicament, and we look at their contribution in the whole story of the crucifixion of Jesus, which was merciless, sinful, rebellious, violent. And begin to ask ourselves and do an introspection. And I want to be quite honest with you, I cannot boldly say, I would never do what uPilato did. I can't say that. I can't say that. My statement would be, I pray uThixo to give me the strength, the courage to be able, on such testing time, God will stand with me and give me the strength to do the right thing. Not as me, the ability. I want to be honest with you. I cannot sit here and vow and say, if it hadn't been uPilato, I would never have done that. I do wish that I would have done that. That would be a very great legacy that uPilato wayishiya ngasemva. Kuthiwe mhlambi on that Friday uYesu ekhonywa nje uPilato selibulewe yena, because ababantu, they couldn't take the verdict of the innocence of Jesus, and uPilato put his life on the line. I don't know this man, I don't care for him, but after I have investigated and the evidence that you have, I find no fault with him. Politically, he is harmless. You have no case at all. If it means you killing me for that or losing my position, let it be. If that man could have done that and leave that kind of legacy, that would have been great. Unfortunately, I want to repeat those words again. Unfortunately, there are shouts in honor. Their demand, their will. Umbuzo wami, intoni le-shout, intoni le-shout, intoni le-ngxolo, intoni le-will. It's not yours. There's a certain shout, there's a certain noise, there's a certain will that have so much control over you, to an extent that you no longer live a life that you'd like to live. Your life is controlled by a certain shout and a certain noise and certain demands and certain will. There's 30 days that we're waiting for in South Africa. That 30 days, the NEC and the Integrity Committee, how they are going to implement a decision. There's the former president on the other side, with the Zondo Commission and the Constitutional Court. There is something that is just, innocent, ethically, morally, legally, that is right. There is a shout, there is a noise, there is a demand, there is a will whoever is in a position of power, he may be committed to do the just, the innocent, the right thing, and at the same time committed not to lose the crowds. And this story we're reading says it's practically impossible to do them both. Do you understand the moral of the story, Sika Pilato? He tried. Kwenye ndawo uthi ndizamkhulula ndimbethe ndimtshwatshushe nikrone ndim-embarase, ndiyenza loo nto ndisazi irongo, ndim-dehumanize, kodwa as long uba engazuxhonywa. Izathi ezaa nto no funeka ixhonyiwe, funeka abethwe, funeka axhonywe. He comes out. He didn't sleep. Above all, he has a letter that comes from his wife. He says, the whole night I never slept. I've seen that man in a dream. He's innocent. He's pure. Please. The wife is not telling him something that he does not know. To the wife, it's a dream. To him, it's the investigation of the evidence. And he was thorough about it. He doesn't like Jews, but as much as he doesn't like Jews, in this case, the innocence was so strong, and the dignity of the man, and the disposition of the man. He says this man is harmless, he's self-control. There's something about him. He tried. And I hear the noise. I hear the noise. I hear the noise. I hear the noise. I hear the demand. I hear the will. I hear the will. If you do this, if you do this, if you release this man, if you jail this man, don't blame us. Lilizwi lelikaThixo noyo lolivayo agcine azalenze. Bawo lizwi eliviwa bubumnyama kubaleke. Siyabongoza ngalenhlwa, siyazithoba phambi kwethrone yakho yobabalo. Nceda ilizwi lethu, sincede Thixo, yenelela. Ilibali likaPilato khangeleka siphinda siphila, ngoba it's not about Pilato, it's about us. In Jesus we pray. Amen.